Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on Polywine, where we like to take a deep dive into stories pulled from the media and have a fun time while breaking it down. I'm Jillian, and let's get into it. And let's work our way over to Pennsylvania. Well, Puxatawny Phil saw his shadow, so according to I guess the Phil theory, that means 6 more weeks of winter. Bringing us some tough news already, Phil, in the new year. But according to Phil, 6 more weeks of winter. So brace yourself. And let's get over to another side of Pennsylvania and a little bit more of a sad story here. That is the medical plane crash that happened on Friday evening. Just such a terrible, tragic story. There was a medical airplane that had left Philly with a transport patient, and it was a young girl, her mother, and several crew members, medical crew members, and then the flight crew. With about a minute and a half into their flight, just left the airport, it exploded and just fell to the ground in a very heavily populated area. And there are injuries on the ground, one death, and other people still recovering from their injuries. And I mean, just a massive, massive scene. There's just debris everywhere. Buildings were on fire. It was quite a scene, but just such a sad story. I mean, this little girl went to Philadelphia to get some of the Philadelphia has some incredible hospitals. They have Shriners, they have Children's there. And so this child was sent there to get life-saving treatment and was released to go home in such a special occasion. And then to have such just a tragic and awful ending is just nothing short of heartbreaking. So to the family, to the crew members, to the doctors, to the flight crew, God, I'm just so sorry. But there is an investigation going on, and hopefully we can find out what went wrong so quickly into the flight. And just terrible scene. And so not only did we have that plane crash in Philadelphia, 48 hours before that, there was that just terrible accident in DC in Reagan Airport. We had where the plane coming in to land at Reagan National was hit with the Black Hawk helicopter that was doing a training mission. And I live in the DC metro area, we're here in the mid-Atlantic, and I cannot tell you how absolutely devastating this is news to us. This is our backyard, and there were many people on that plane that were from the area. Just heartbreaking stories coming out from all the people that were on the plane. Their investigation is still going on. It just sounds like it was such a terrible, tragic accident. Could have been human error, a series of errors. We do not know yet. There's been a lot. That area has been flagged for a very long time, with it just being such a high traffic area in the skies. And for this to happen is just awful. It stirs up such extreme emotion. There was an incident in the 80s that happened with the Pan Am flight in Potomac. So people remember that, and it just triggers emotions. The stories are just absolutely heartbreaking to hear the stories that has affected the ice skating community. There were 28 members of the ice skating community on that small plane. There was an ice skating event in Kansas. There were a lot of people flying home from that or taking a changing flight there. Just so sad. 14 were from the DC metro area. 6 were from one club in Boston. The stories are just heartbreaking. There was one family in Northern Virginia where their whole family is just gone. It was 2 young, beautiful girls that had just such a passion for ice skating, and their goals were to go to the Olympics. And they were on that plane coming back from this event in Kansas, and their mom, their dad, and the 2 girls are on the plane, and the whole family's gone. It's just so sad. And it's not just the ice skating community, but there's the stories of like this girl that was flying home early to be with friends and families on her 33rd birthday. This young lawyer that had her whole life and career ahead of her. I mean, those were just to name a few. There were so many beautiful, beautiful people on that plane. And then you also hear the stories of the 3 service members who were on the Black Hawk helicopter, and that's just heartbreaking too. Yet, a female, two men, all young, their whole life ahead of them. They had families and loved ones that were waiting for them. So, so sad. And again, there are a lot of theories coming out about what was the cause of this accident. So much loss of life. And of course, people want to have someone to blame. Let's not be hasty. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Both black boxes have been recovered. So they are doing the investigation there. We hopefully will have answers soon. The recovery of the fuselage has happened. Yesterday they did start pulling the actual plane out of the Potomac, and it will take a little bit longer for the Black Hawk to be recovered, but they are working on that. All 67 victims have been recovered. Locally, to hear the stories coming out, to see the process of recovering the victims and recovering the planes and the black box, it has been heartbreaking, because you see the family members on the side. They have a special area for the family members to go while they were trying to recover the bodies. Just so sad. And to know that this accident was avoidable is really the worst part of it. But again, let's please pay our respects to the victims. This just sounds like a horrible, horrible accident. Let's wait for, the investigation to go on so we actually have answers. But just so sad. But there is one story I do want to talk about. It's come out in the local news here in the Washington, D.C. I think I want to say it was NBC Channel 4. I want to say it was one of their anchors and one of their journalists. And also, I want to give a serious tip of the hat to Chuck Bell, which is their weatherman in Washington, D.C. He was phenomenal that night, trying to give us up to date. And I do want to say, it was very, very, very windy here the night in DC of that accident. And he was just giving us the play-by-play. He was giving us the wind updates, the weather updates. He was on point. So Chuck Bell, NBC4 in Washington, DC, you did an phenomenal job that night. The whole crew did. But there was one he was actually out in the field the next morning in the cold. And he gave this one story, and it was a little emotional. I come from a military family, and it really choked me up, but it was really good. And I don't think it got some national news, but there was a rookie firefighter that was there when one of the first victims was pulled out of the Potomac, and it was the young service member who was 28. And I want to say his name was O'Hara. Please pardon me if I get it wrong. I mean, no disrespect, but his body was one of the first to be recovered. And I'm sorry, I'm getting a little choked up here, but when this rookie firefighter heard this story, and he was a former Marine, and when he heard this and saw this gentleman being recovered, he stood by that victim for several hours to give his respect. And as you absolutely should, to say there is something to be said in the military. And I'm getting a little choked up here, and that's okay. I get a little choked up, and that's okay. No man left behind. So this victim had no one there. So this man on his own, stood there as respect over the victim until he was relieved by the proper military to relieve him. I just think that, I'm sorry, I get a little choked up, because there's something to be said about that. You are brothers and sisters, you are family till the end. So no man or woman left behind. So to that rookie firefighter, I salute you, and I hope everyone did, because there was a story that came out in the news where the family, because the soldier was from Georgia. And I get, it's just so sad. The stories is so sad. And it's just one right after the other. It just chokes me up, and it just kills me. It just kills me. To the families, I am so, so sorry for your loss. And I hope that we have answers. I hope changes come out of this. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. But to that rookie firefighter that stood by that soldier until he was, that's respect. That is family. And I salute you. I'm not military. I was raised in a military family, and till the end, no man or woman left behind. So that story, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to lose my cool, but it really choked me up. So there. So let's get over to another story. I am so sorry I got choked up there. I Can't help it. But to hear this story about the medical airplane in Philadelphia, the plane crash in DC, it is so sad and such a loss of life. It's just tragedy upon tragedy, and it didn't need to happen. And I just hope that major changes come out of it. Come out of it. To the family in Mexico, all the families in Mexico, to the pilots, to the EMTs, to the doctor, to the family of the mother and the daughter. Oh God, it's just so sad. You know, my daughter was airlifted for medical purposes, and it just really hit home. So I am so sorry for everybody. It just kills me. Again, let's move over to another story. So last time we were together here on Polywine, we were talking about fire rate, right? And we were talking about who was going to perform in the concerts, how much we think that we were going to be able to raise, and well, the event happened, the numbers are in, and a really great turnout. We had, and my question was Dr. Dre and Snoop going to perform, because they didn't commit with the last time, but I was hoping they would, show up at some point, give us a surprise performance. Dr. Dre did show up. Snoop Dogg was not there. I'm sure he was busy doing something. No, that man is everywhere these days, probably committed somewhere else, but it was nice to see Dr. All the performances were incredible. I mean, wow, there was a huge list of musicians, but at the end of it all, they raised about $60 million in ticket sales and in corporate advertisements. So it's a drop in the bucket to really what they need, but what an incredible turnout. So that's great. And not only that, some of the people that actually performed at Fire Aid actually did perform at the Grammys, and the Grammys also raised about $7 million for charities to help benefit for the LA fires. And not only that, they gave appreciation and honor to the responders, which is something so beautiful. You got to actually see like some of the chief of the firefighters out in LA's, and you saw a lot of other medical personnel out there, and it was just great. It was so nice for the first responders to get the honor and the respect that they absolutely deserve. And how great was it to see the firefighters give the awards to Beyonce? I don't know who was more excited, Beyonce or the female firefighter that was given the award. That was amazing. Well, the guy was pretty pumped too, but the smile on the female firefighter was just awesome. It was absolutely awesome. So what a great night. But Beyonce, huge winner. She finally got her award for her Cowboy Carter, as she so deserved. And Kendrick Lamar was the big winner, taking home 5 Grammys. And not only that, let's not forget that Kendrick Lamar will also be performing at the halftime at the Super Bowl coming up this weekend. So get ready, get prepared. It is happening, where the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles will rematch back in the city of New Orleans. Go big, easy. But let me tell you, Philly, after that whole plane crash, they could definitely use a boot. And not only that, do you have the Super Bowl halftime show that is always a big hit. Who's going to take home the best Super Bowl commercial? Is it going to be the Budweiser Clydesdale? Is it going to be a car commercial, beer commercial, Doritos? They always have a great commercial too. I don't know, but who's going to take home the commercial of the game? Now, let's work our way over to the world of entertainment, the TV shows, you name it. Let's get into it. Now, there is a new show that has just come out on Hulu. It's called Paradise, and it stars Sterling Brown. He is a Secret Service agent to the President of the United States, who is played by James Marsden. And I do love him. I love both those guys. And it's kind of a setting where it's the end of days. Like, there is some cataclysmic events that wipes out the human race, and they build this underground city to save a select amount of people. And I think they said it was like 25,000 people that they pick to live underground and keep the human race going. And of course, they have those in government and their families and all that. It's kind of like End of Days, Biodome, kind of like hybrid. But it's really interesting. I watched a little bit of it. I kind of like it. I'm into it. And also, let's not forget Julianne Nicholson. She's also into it. She plays Sinatra. She's kind of like some Silicon Valley genius and developer. You name it. She's a little bit of everything. She's a mega mind. And I like it. It's kind of suspenseful, a little dramatic, but it's good. I like it. So Hulu, Paradise, Sterling Brown's awesome. I really am enjoying him. Now let's get over to a little bit of Peacock, The Traitor. What a great season so far. It has been such a high intensity season. We started off first of all, we started off the traitors were fighting. The traitors cannot get along. You got Carolyn, Danielle, and Rob. Nobody trusts each other. They're all looking at each other with a side eye. And Carol just is flat out coming for Danielle now because she knows Danielle's coming for him. And nobody trusts Rob. So this is interesting. It's only been 3 seasons, but out of the 3 seasons so far, this is pretty good because we haven't seen the traitors go against each other, turn on each other this quickly. And how quickly they turn. And they are. So they got rid of Bob Harper. They murdered Bob Harper. And everybody liked Bob. So that was a tough one. But Bob really, other than fashion and some comments, and everybody just loved Bob. How can you not love Bob? He's great. He wasn't doing a lot on the show, so they got rid of Bob. I did miss Bob, but Bob, I still say you are wrong when you stated the other week on Watch What Happens Live that you were about Jennifer Tilly on Beverly Hills. No, sir. You are wrong. Jennifer Tilly is amazing. She is an amazing asset, and I love her to death. Do not get rid of Jennifer Tilly. She brings kookiness. She brings fashion, and I'll get to it in a minute, but she said something that was so funny this last week's episode or 2 weeks ago that I still, I think every woman it just felt so funny. But so traitors, so they murdered Bob gone. And who did they banish? Well, the round table was very good. Very good. It's always high intense. And you could, it's just, like I said, I always talk about it each week. Well, some people go in there with the mindset, I'm going to vote this person out. And then when everyone else starts putting their input and then their theories out, I think this person might be a traitor. And I think that this person might be a traitor. And then they start stating their case. Then they're like, well, I'm going to jump on that wagon because I think you might have something to it. And I'm not 100% confident in my theory of who's a traitor. So I'm going to go with you. I better join the group or then turn their thoughts that I could be the traitor. So very fine balance, right? So they ended up after a contested roundtable, they banished Wes. And Wes kind of was an easy target. He was a good player. And he was smart. He was catching on to all the little clues of who could be a traitor, but no one really liked him. He was kind of a dick and kind of arrogant. And I think everybody was just fine to get rid of him. Not only was he a threat to Rob and some of the other people, but nobody really liked him. So I think it was he was an easy vote. He was an easy throwaway. But I think it's funny now that the group is starting to get smaller and you see the weak links, the low hanging fruit kind of still around. Well, they got to go. So the British guy, was it Ivern? He's up on the chopping block. You know he is. And then why is Sandoval still there? Why? Why? Just so people could tune in to see if he gets axed? Because nobody's really enjoying him and he's not bringing anything to the table. And when you came for Dolores from the Real Housewives of New Jersey, bad choice. And she got word that Sandoval actually had said her name and it was great. It was great at the round table. She first came up and she said, well, I'll start. Tom, I heard you said my name, and you just immediately see Tom Sandoval's reaction. And you can see the fear in Sandoval's face because he just got called out. And right away, you can just see because she made it through, and so does Sandoval. But Sandoval, dead man walking, okay? She's got your number, and she's coming for you. And Dolores doesn't let things go. And watch out, Sandoval. She's coming for you. Oh, I love me some Dolores. I love Dolores. I love Dolores. I love Dolores. But it was great. So they got rid of Wes. He's gone. Now Sandoval, Ivan, you know you're coming around soon, but it's getting close. It's the group's getting smaller. The good people are still there. I like it. I like it a lot. So far, great season. And of course, Alan Cummings, you are everything. I love you. You are great. Now, I do want to get it over to my beautiful, beautiful girls at Bravo. Well, we had the season finale of The Real Housewives of Potomac, and I love my Potomac girls. I am a DC kind of girl, and I know Potomac very well. Not a lot happened in the beginning of the episode. You know, it's just kind of a wrap up. You know, Ashley announces that she's moving forward with her divorce, and she might be divorced soon. We shall see. It seems like she put a little pressure on her ex, Michael, and it finally has come through. But it is nice to see Ashley and her new little interest, Josh, in the beginning stages of relationship. It's cute, it's fresh, and they're having fun, and I like it. So in this episode, as they kind of close down, wrap up the whole thing with Kierna and her Greg, they're taking a little bit of some time and reevaluating the relationship, essentially. Giselle's wrapping thing up. She's an empty nester and loving it. Wendy is taking another teaching position, and she's moving into another season of her show, and it's great. Karen, I want to say that Karen, it has been very difficult watching you this season. With everything that's coming up in the court case, you should have pulled a full Felicity Huffman and said, I'm sorry, whatever the court wants to throw at me, I will take it. I feel terrible. I cannot apologize enough for what I have done wrong, and I will do anything to correct my behavior. This is the approach Karen should have taken, and she has not. And she's come off like such a villain this season, and just delusional and ridiculous. And, you know, this whole scene with the Strut for Strays, the charity event that Stacy has, you just come off awful. Mia this time was like, I'm done with Karen. She's come at me all this season, and I'm tired, and I am not dealing with it. And I think that was a right approach to take. It's been a long season for you to figure that one out, but I'm glad that you finally did. And then you see that at the end of the show, that her and Eek have kind of taken a pause on the relationship, but you know, they've been on again, off again most of their lives. So it might happen again. We shall see. But to see Stacy and Karen go at it was really something. But during this episode, we got to meet one of Stacy's friends, and AJ. Why have we not had more of AJ this season? Can somebody please tell me? First of all, AJ, I'm loving AJ. AJ, can we get rid of some of the other girls that have come on this season? You know, with the housewives, can we get rid of some of the friends of and all that stuff? Can we get AJ? AJ is a little bit of everything. Kind of loving this guy. He is, you can tell he is, they have been friends for a long time. So he knows the ins and outs of Stacy, and he's just giving us raw truth, like, oh girl, oh now you're all prim and proper and Miss Goody Two Shoes, please now, and you're not having sex with AJ, please. And you can tell he is not buying into this TJ BS. Like, he was giving Stacy a hard time, like, you guys aren't having any fun, like you're not getting down and nasty, and you're not doing that. Come on now. Who are you talking to? And who are you right now? This is not the Stacy I've known for 20 plus years. And he just thinks he's cornhole-ish, you know, like that's what he said to Stacy pretty much. She was like, so why don't you like TJ? He's my best friend. Stacy, you don't want to bang your best friend. I'm sorry, you know, and this is what your friend AJ is trying to tell you. He's like, that's nice that he's your best friend, but you know, that's not what you do. And And he just said, I think TJ's just giving me a little bit like he's corny. I'm not feeling it. I don't think he's right for you. If you guys want to be friends, but I don't think he's the right guy for you to like get into a relationship over. So uh, everyone agrees with AJ. And then when AJ goes to support his friend Stacy at that Strut for Strays event, and TJ walks right up to him because, he's got to lay down the rule because I guess word must have gotten back to him that our friend's not really feeling him. And he just comes up to AJ aggressive. This is TJ. And he's like, so we're here to support Stacy, and we've got one common goal in mind. That's Stacy, and we're all ride or die for Stacy here. So we got to be together as a team for Stacy. And gross, wrong approach. I think that was an immediate turnoff for Stacy's friend AJ, and it was for all of us. I think all the viewers watching were like, "Ew, like what's up with this guy?" Not having it. But so the event kicks off. The girls walk the show. They're all walking in Vivian's beautiful dresses. Of course, Karen refused to get to partake because she didn't want to support Stacy, and that because she didn't feel Stacy was a friend. And of course, her and Stacy got a little into it before they walked the show, and it was really nice to see the prim and proper Stacy kind of go right out the window, and she was like, I'm done with your crap. I'm done with your ridiculousness, Karen, and I'm standing my ground. She dug in her heels. She stood her ground, and she was like, I'm not playing your game anymore, Karen. And I like that. I like that a lot. So it's Karen, the tides have turned against you. And again, Karen, you should have gone full Felicity Huffman and just been extra nice to everybody on the crew, all your castmates. You should have been sugar sweet, okay? But you didn't. You doubled down. You got mean. I will be vindicated. It's not working out that way, Karen. And you see a little bit more into it in the end of the episode. So we're going to the Strut for the Strays charity event. It started off going really well. It started off without a hitch. She had, Ashley walking with her little cutie. Wendy walked with her dog, surprised everybody, adopted a dog. Mia adopted a dog. They all looked great. Giselle didn't walk, but she ended up buying one of Vivian's dresses, and that story was great because Wendy wanted it. Wendy couldn't get it, so she went back and bought the dress. And some people thought it was a little too hokey. I thought she looked great in it. I love the dress. I thought you looked great, Giselle. And I thought the story was fun. She didn't get the dress, so I went back and got the dress because they said no one could wear the dress. So I'm going to wear the dress. So good on you. You look great in it. But it was a really nice charity event to raise money for the animal rescue and hopefully adopt some of the dogs, and some of them did get adopted, which is great. But as they are walking through the finale, thank you so much, giving their credits and thank yous to everybody, and the grand finale, smoke machines just completely go off in just like an explosive fashion. And it startles everybody and totally terrifies the dogs. And the dogs lose control over their bowels all over the floor. And then everybody starts screaming. It was so funny. Like, of course, there was dog mess everywhere. And it just kind of ruins that whole beautiful event. But it was really funny to see everybody's reaction. Karen starts like puking in a trash can because she can't handle it. And where Stacy was humiliated. But to the party planner, there are animals that were there. You don't think that the fog machines would have spooked them? Now, maybe they didn't expect it to go up with that type of power and gusto, but it did, and had the complete reverse effect. Yes. But then, after the whole kind of the charity event, the party starts to die on, they do the end of the season and they wrap up the season. Giselle's doing this and Wendy's doing this and where are they now? And, the wrap up. And then they have a new little clip 5 months later, and they go to when Karen has her court case. And as we know, Karen was found guilty. And that's where they close for the season. And then they start airing previews for part 1 of the reunion. And they said they already state that Karen is not there. She sent a video message in. I mean, Karen, you look rough in that video message. This must have been right after she was convicted. Wow. I mean, she just looks crushed. She's devastated. She has a hat on. You know, Karen's always done up. She was not in this video message, but you know, you hear Wendy saying, I can say now that Karen was not my friend. And you just get all these little clips of what's going to happen in the reunion. And it looks like it's going to be a good reunion, but Karen, you're not there to defend yourself. So the gloves are off. Now it's February. So it's right around the corner. So will the sentencing happen before the reunion wraps? I don't know. I don't think it's not going to shine well on you, Karen. And you were just such an ass this season. You really were. So part 1 of the reunion next week, and it's going to be good. Is she immediately going to lose her job? I don't know. Now, I also want to get over to last week. We had the part we came back up on the reunion of, was it part 2 of the reunion, Salt Lake City? Not a lot happened. A little bit more with Todd. The whole thing with Todd and Bronwyn, they're never going to tell you what happened. Look, Bronwyn let it slip that there was an affair. They're not going to tell you if it was an emotional affair or an actual physical affair. To me, it sounds like there was obviously a physical affair, because when he talks about, he got me a new ring after we had this whole incident where her daughter saw Todd texting a woman inappropriately. And after that, he got me this ring that had these 5 stones in it. And these 5 stones represented these promises. And one of the promises was fidelity. Well, why would that be one of your promises if you had already promised that in your vow, right? I don't know. So to me, that was really kind of all I needed to kind of say, okay, yeah, he cheated, right? Because Heather keeps trying to pull a little bit more of that out of Bronwyn. Like, was it an emotional affair? You know, you alluded to he has an affair. You said there was infidelity, but yet you kind of backpedaled right after you said that. And she was trying to, well, wasn't it an affair? Like, we don't really know. Was it not? We don't know. Was it? And she still doesn't answer it. But that's kind of really all I needed to hear about that. But the thing that they got into on that part of the reunion was Mary and her son. And everybody started crying. And they were talking about that whole scene where she goes to her son, Robert Jr., and she's like, I know you are in crisis. And he breaks down and says, yes, I am in a crisis. I'm using a variety of substances to cope, and I'm struggling. And I am a full addiction now, and I need help. I need help, and I can't do it on my own. And, you know, Mary stepped up to the plate as a parent would. That scene was so powerful, moving, gut-wrenching, you name it. It was a powerful scene. And Andy was talking about that scene. He was like, you know, and Andy started crying. Andy's a parent now. I don't need to be a parent for that scene to affect you. And everyone on those couches was bawling. Andy was crying, which I've never seen that during a reunion. Just when Robert Jr. was saying in that scene that I felt like I was such a stain to you and the family. And he started crying. Everybody was starting. I was crying watching that episode when it came out. And for her to break, you know, just going through that, reliving it, talking about that moment. Wow. That was a really, really warm moment on the couch where they all came together and supported, because that was just a very hard scene. But it's nice to know that so many people have reached out to her and Robert and says that must have been a really difficult time to put that onto TV. But we're glad that you did, because it ended up helping us as well. And if that was your intention, putting that out there, because it's a very personal thing to go through that like that, and putting such a very personal issue out there and moment for the whole world to see, not easy. But if your effort, and she said that is to, in one way or some way, to help someone out, that would be some benefit of it. And you did. And that's great. And I'm glad that people are reaching out to you saying, Mary, you help me. Robert, you Jr., you help me. I'm glad you were able to help others. Because, ultimately, I think that's what she wants to do. And I'm glad it did have the benefit. But she was also saying that he's just fresh out of rehab. And this is the struggle. He has to find new friends and he's trying to adapt to this new stage of his life in sobriety. And it's a process. So she's really got to watch him and be extra supportive and in his journey. So that was a really powerful scene. So this week, part 3 of the reunion will be back. Let's get over it. And I do also want to talk about, we did have the season premiere, season 3 of Below Deck Down Under with Captain Jason. Who doesn't love Captain Jason? Everyone loves Captain Jason. He's gorgeous, but we'll get into that next episode. Too much to talk about because I wanted to talk about this week of Beverly Hills. What an episode. Last week, we had the whole beach scene, the party and stuff like that, and following that. Great. This week, a lot of emotional stuff. We had Kyle and Mauricio had a moment together where they were at a shooting range and they had a moment where they were asking, how are you doing? And she's telling Mauricio, well, how's your condo coming along? Where do you kind of stand? And she was like, well, you're moving forward in your life. And here I am. And I'm trying to move forward. And I don't really know where we're going. But it's hard. I'm in our home, our family home, where all of our memories are in this life that we built together for so many years. And this is the way it looked in this space of ours for so long. And now it's just different. And you're living your life in a different way. And our kids are moving on in their lives in a different pattern. And everything that I've ever known in this space that we built together is very different. And you're creating this new life for yourself. And I'm still trying to figure out how to move on and move forward and change it in this space. And it's hard. And that scene was very real because I think that Kyle can be very guarded. And even though she's like, I will put everything out there and what she allows out. And that was, I think, probably one of the better scenes with this separation. I don't know if they're ever going to come back together. Who am I to say what works best for them? But it does seem like they still do love each other. It's sad. There's obviously trust issues. There's been a breakdown in the trust, in the stability of the relationship. It seems to me like there's major trust issues. Trust has been broken. That seems to me the big one. And she said that in the reunion, and last year that's kind of why they took a break. But you can still that they love each other. Look, sometimes you can still love somebody and you can't live with them. It seems like a hard thing to say, but it's true. You can love somebody and just can't spend your life with them, but you can love them. Maybe that's how it is for them, but it's just unfortunate because you can still see they really do have a strong feelings for one another. So I don't know where they're going to go. It seems like they are going to go towards divorce. They are living separate lives, but maybe they can come back together. I don't know. It doesn't seem like they know, but I'm glad that they still can be there for each other in this weird time, but they're still a good, strong family unit for the kids because no matter what this weird time is for them, it's weird for everybody. So I'm glad they're still strong for each other. But let me get into the fantastic scene, which was Miss Kathy Hilton. God, she's so good. Kathy Hilton had a nice little luncheon for Dorit, Bose, and Erica because Sutton took Garcelle and Kyle to Augusta to go meet her family. And that was a great scene with Garcelle, with Reba. She's brutal. She is a old-fashioned, brutally honest, no filter, which they always seem to be so prim and proper. Not so much. But with her harsh, old Southern style. Tough. They can be tough. I Get it. Oh, I get it. Reba's not easy, but Kyle's reaction was everything. Tread lightly, Garcelle. I know you said this episode that you wanted to talk with Reba to kind of work through some of Sutton's issues. I do not know if I do that, but that whole scene with the gift that Garcelle gave Sutton's mom, Reba, a scarf. Reba's tough. Reba is tough. So let's see how that plays out. But the scene that Kathy Hilton had a luncheon and with Erica and Bose and Dorit. This was a scene. This was a girls scene. This was a friendship scene. This was a support scene. And this was a great lunch. Because I love Kathy Hilton gookiness. But Kathy Hilton had one of her luncheon theme party and love it. Her theme of Capri and lemon. Beautiful. But, you know, she has a luncheon. She invites over. And Bose immediately says to Kathy, you know, I know that your sister Kyle is going through some stuff. You know, I just don't feel a lot of warmth with her right now. I don't know how to kind of break that ice. You know, do you have any suggestions? You know, what are you kind of, I know she's really going through right now. So how are you broaching this situation with her and Mauricio right now? And she's like, you know, I tread really lightly. You know, she's in a weird kind of place and she's very hyper defensive and she's hypersensitive. So I kind of not really try and talk about it. I just want to be there and support her. And Kathy leans over to Dorit and she said, how are you, Dorit, with everything with PJ? And everyone's like, PJ. And I love that Kathy Hilton gets everyone's name wrong and doesn't apologize for it. She's like, because everybody turns around and says PK. And she's like, PJ, PK. And she doesn't apologize. I love the waving off, like, keep it moving. Keep it moving. So iconic. I freaking love Kathy Hilton. So unapologetic about who she is. I just love it. Just keep it moving. PK, PJ, PK. Awesome. So she's like, so how are things with you and PK? And she says, you know, Kathy, lady, my life is shit right now. And boom, the facade falls. The curtain has completely dropped. Yes, it's like the curtain from the Wizard of Oz has fallen through. There is no wizard. Wow. Because she was like, how is it? And she's like, my life is shit. My life is shit. And she said, well, and you can see Kathy's reaction and everybody was like, they were not expecting this. They were obviously not prepped for this conversation because I think they just thought she's like, you know, she's just kind of precious. She's been a little bit delicate about what she's put out there about the divorce. And as she should, she doesn't really know what she's going through. It's a little bit of murky water. She doesn't want to put too much out there because if it goes to court and it sounds like it's going to go in that direction, delicate is best, right? Well, you don't want anything you say can and will be used against you. And so she's been delicate with what she's put out there. But boom, today she's pissed, she's angry, and she's letting her guard down. So Kathy says, you know, I didn't, wow. And everybody's reaction was like, oh my God. And she said, well, I'm sorry, it's so awful right now, but he's a good dad, right? Like I always kind of got the feeling that he's a good dad. And Dorit's like, no, not really. And you just see Kathy's reaction, and you see Bose like, ugh. And Erica, like everybody's reaction. And by the way, I want Bose in my friend group. Not only is she a girl's girl and how she supported Dorit this whole time, but her expression and her reactions are amazing. Just like, girl, no, he didn't. Just the sound effects alone for the conversation, just a great. She should have like some sound bites just of Bose. Like, you know, Samuel L. Jackson used to have like an app back in the day of just his sound clips. Bose needs one. And so Dorit's like, no, he's not. He's not a great father. And she just starts letting everything out there. Like he travels all the time. He's not there. And here I am. And I've been putting up this front to everybody to my kids, to the world, that he's this great dad, he's this great husband. Yes, he travels a lot, but he's so there. He's proactive. He's he's a partner. Not so much. I mean, she just let it all hang out, like he traveled. He's MIA half the time. I can't find him, and wow. And then she lets it spill that Dorit woke up one morning to this 7-page email. And when you get an email like that or a text message like that, when you just wake up and you one eye open before you've had that first sip of coffee, somebody has thought about this for a long time on the other end and has waited till you go to sleep, okay, to send this email, to take the time to write it. So, it's almost an ambush. And she said she was like a barrage of things. Like, it was legal, it was financial, and it was, pointing in the direction of divorce. Like, this is what I want. Like, by the end of the month, I'm going to stop paying the mortgage and all other expenses pertaining to the house, all this stuff. And she was like, I was completely blindsided by all of it. And she said, and I just found out that we've been married 9.5 years. And under the state of California, that if you were married 10 years, well, you get half. And then Erica started explaining a little bit about what this law is and in California and how it kind of plays out. And she was saying, after 10 years, it's considered a long-term relationship. And at that point, you get half of everything. And spousal support, half. And so if you're going to end a marriage, do it before 10 years. And this is kind of the direction where Piki's going. And, Dorit is just a mess. She is just reeling from all this. And this is where Erica comes in and shines. And she was like, all right, Dorit, this is where I have to come in as a friend, because I cannot sit here and let this happen to you. And you told me if I need to say something, I should. And this is where I need to step in, because I cannot hear this and watch this happen to you without saying something. So here we go. You need to lawyer up. From what I'm hearing right now, he is planning legal action. He is, preparing himself for this fight, and you need to get a lawyer. You need to protect yourself and all your assets. You need to protect your kids, because now it's game on. And from everything that he's just put out there in that email that you were not expecting, he's preparing himself. He's getting things in order, and this is what's happening. And you need to prepare yourself. And Dorit says, well, what if, I'm not ready to walk away? And what if he's not willing to walk away? And she's like, everything that he just said to you in that email is pointing that he wants a divorce. So you need to prepare yourself and you need to get ready. And you just see like Kathy Hilton, like still just shell-shocked by all of this. Like, she's like, I did not expect for you to say that. I didn't expect this conversation to go in this direction. And here we are. And then you just hear Bose on the other side. Girl, no. Just her reactions was everyone's reaction. It's sickening. You dirty dog. And I hope this conversation with Erica, Bose, Dorit, and Kathy, I hope that this conversation bonds and binds them, because this was, I think, a pivotal conversation, and they really rallied around her in this moment. And again, I don't think anybody really expected this brunch to go this way, but I'm glad it did. Not only was it a great watch, it was really a good watch, because I was just like, no, I was screaming at the PK. I was like, PK, you ass. But I was so proud of Erica to be like, I have to stand up for you. This is Erica. Erica, you shine brightly in this episode. You absolutely did. She was like, okay, stop right there. you got to lawyer up, girl. You got to protect yourself because he's coming for you. He's coming for you, and it's not going to end well for you. And she's like, if you do not make these choices for you, it will be made for you. And she's right. She's absolutely right. And like I said, Kathy Hilton the whole time was like, because Kathy Hilton has lived in Beverly Hills and in New York. She has seen so many divorces. She knows. She knows. We always see these girls lunching, and this was a great lunch. I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked that this is how ugly divorces get. And Erica said it. She's like, the gloves come off when the divorce happens and you see the worst in people. And you do. And this is ugly. I feel terrible for Dorit. This is just so wrong. But I'm glad she had her girls to rally around her and support you. And great advice. And Erica knows she's speaking from experience. She really is. Just great episode. It wasn't the finale. They probably could have ended it on the episode. They really probably could have. But I want more. I want to know more about Dorit. Great episode. Please don't end the lunch because it just stopped there. There's got to be more coming out of this conversation. Please don't end the lunch. I want more. Great episode, Beverly Hills. I was giving you a hard time because not a lot has happened this season. That lunch should have been a whole episode. It was so good. So, Beverly Hills, thank you for giving it to me. We're going to come back and talk a little bit more of Below Deck Down Under. There's some new shows I want to introduce on different streaming services, but don't forget, we also have this weekend on Sunday, the Super Bowl. So go Chiefs, go Eagles, let's go. And let's see who wins the Super Bowl award for Best Commercial. So thank you so much for joining us today. Please follow us on Instagram at Pollywine. And please follow, like, and subscribe to Pollywine wherever you get your feed. Thank you so much and have a great day. See you soon. Bye.